We all have these goals and aspirations we want to achieve, yet not all of us seem to be achieving those goals. And that is where the power of intentional living comes in, which can help us to actually achieve those goals. For a very long time, I had these goals such as to get into better shape or to focus on self-improvement. And while these are things I'm trying to achieve, this is not the approach I would take to setting the goal anymore. And there's a much better one that I now do take that has been so impactful for me. But firstly, we need to understand why these types of goals don't work. They're just too broad. There is no end thing to achieve. So we'll just be in a never-ending cycle to try achieve this thing we put a label on. And while these things are good in themselves, this is not the approach to goal setting that I would recommend. Instead, when I think about setting goals, it's about what you associate those goals with, the habits and the systems that will allow you to actually work on the goal and progress on achieving it. Here's an example that should hopefully make it a bit clearer. Let's say I wanted to build a successful blog. So that is the goal that we're trying to achieve. And I would associate 3 habits with that goal that would actually allow me to progress on achieving it. So for example, 1 would be to publish a new blog post every week. 2 would be to just spend 2 minutes a day writing. But when I say spend 2 minutes a day writing, that's not exactly what I mean. We don't want to spend actually just 2 minutes a day writing, because chances are we probably won't even get a blog post done. But also, it's not effective enough to just sit down and write for a really short period of time. Chances are it'll be more effective to sit down in longer periods of time, less frequently, to do writing. But the reason I say set the habit as 2 minutes for some things, especially when you're starting out, is because it allows you to trick yourself into thinking you're only doing something for 2 minutes. And that makes it much easier to continue to do it after you started and actually get it finished. Like, I know for myself, when I write scripts and plan out these videos, it's harder to get started on the plan, but once you get into the flow of it, I find it so much easier to continue. So what we're doing here is incorporating a 2-minute rule, commonly known from David Allen's book, Getting Things Done. So props to him for that. And I believe James Clear has talked about the 2-minute rule as well. And lastly, the third habit would be to spend some time each week researching on SEO and how to write better and how to make your blog perform better. But I would say make sure you don't spend too much time on this. Make sure you're actually doing the writing for the blog and putting that out there, because you don't want to overthink the behind the scenes of the content too much, because then that might stop you from actually just putting the content out. It's all well and good to have goals, but if we don't intentionally take the time and sit down and just choose the habits that we're going to do with that goal, then they're just pipe dreams. And this is something very similar to what author James Clear talks about, which is that we should focus more on implementing and building systems than the goals themselves. And he states that you do not rise to the level of your goals, but you fall to the level of your systems. And he says that we can implement things that will help us build a better system, such as restructuring our social environment, our physical environment, and the small things that we do that will allow us to progress on our goals. And there is an example by James Clear that I think illustrates this point really well.
Most people are familiar with the story of the Good Samaritan stopping along the side of the road to help a fallen person, help someone in need. Well, Princeton, their theology school, decided to run this experiment. They brought in a bunch of theology students. They said, all right, we're all familiar with the story of the Good Samaritan. We're going to break you up into groups, and you're going to go teach in different rooms across campus. You're going to teach this story. And they had a couple different cohorts. The one cohort, they said, all right, just go ahead and go off and deliver the presentation. So they went off to their rooms. The second one, though, they did something interesting. They sent the group off, and they said, by the way, we're running a little bit behind, right? You don't have very long to get there. It takes about 10 minutes. You only got 5, so we kind of need to hurry. You're probably already going to be late. So they're in a rush. They know they're going to go give this presentation. On the way, they planted an actor on the campus. And this actor is laying on the ground, hurt, moaning in pain. And so they scream twice, and then they cry out. And every single group went right past the person in need to go give a presentation about helping a person in need. Now, the point of this, and what I'd like to start talking about now, is the danger of being goal-focused and goal-oriented. These people had a goal, right, to deliver a presentation. And they were so one-sided, so narrow-minded, so focused on that goal that they missed the bigger picture and the perspective of what they should have been doing in the first place. And I think that this can be a danger of goals often. And so instead, I would like to encourage us to focus on systems rather than goals. Here are some examples. If you're a coach, your goal is to win a championship, but your system is what your team does at practice each day. If you're a writer, your goal might be to write a book, maybe even write a best-selling book, but your system is how you write each week, the schedule that you follow. If you're an entrepreneur, your goal could be to build $1 million business or a $10 million business, but the system is the sales and marketing process that you have. The systems are what actually make the difference. They're what drive the results. And what I've seen, having goals is great. Having a vision, having a dream is nice. It's important to know where you're going and where you're headed. It's important to have some clarity of focus, to know that we're moving in this direction. But once you know that, having the goal on paper makes very little difference. And committing to the system and showing up every day drives a lot of results. And so I'd like to talk about how we can build these systems and repeat these habits day after day, week after week.
Something else that I want to highlight is that if we set up systems which might have consequences if we don't do what we said we're going to do, that could be really impactful for us and help us progress more on our goals. And this relates to something that I heard Thomas Frank talk about a while ago, and that is that our brains need training wheels, because we naturally take the path of least resistance. So we can set up systems using sites such as Beeminder, and if we don't do what we said we're going to do, there will be a consequence for us, such as a monetary charge. For example, recently I wanted to start getting into doing more cardio, as I knew I was lacking a bit in that area, and I knew that it could be easy for me to just like give up and stop doing it. So I wanted to set up a consequence if I didn't do the thing, and it's working so far. And that was that I would have to pay my sister £25 if I didn't go jogging at least once a week. And this is pretty similar to something I did earlier this year at university, and that was go to the gym with a friend. So I was not just going for me, but someone was also relying on me to turn up, meaning we were being accountable for each other to turn up. So when it was 6:30 in the morning and my alarm went off and I could have easily not turned up or gone back to sleep, that accountability to someone else gave me that extra push to turn up. Therefore, what we're doing is setting goals to lay out the thing we want to achieve, but as well as setting up systems and habits that will allow us to actually make progress on those goals. And that's why being intentional in general can have such an impact on our lives. And this does not just apply to our goals and aspirations. Being intentional in general can have such an impact on so many different aspects of our lives, such as our relationships, our well-being, our clarity, and even our happiness. I want to end this video with a challenge for you. Set aside maybe just 10 minutes and write down one goal, just one goal that will be so awesome if you achieved it in the next 12 months. No limitations, just one thing that would be so awesome if you did achieve it. And write 3 actionable habits that associate with that goal, as we mentioned earlier, that will allow you to progress on achieving that goal. Thanks for watching this video. I hope you did enjoy it. Please like, subscribe, and hit the bell to tell the YouTube algorithm that my content is a bit awesome so we can share it with some other people that will hopefully enjoy it. Also on the screen right now, here and here, you will find 2 other videos that you should hopefully enjoy. So feel free to check them out if you like. Otherwise, thanks again for watching. Hope you have a great day, and I'll see you guys soon.